Hello, my name is Anton Lopez. This is my Pecha Kucha, and I did it on the Egyptian mythology and the Egyptian gods. Uh, the Egyptian mythology has been around for nearly 5,000 years, give or take. The culture and religion was based on how they perceived the world, and anything that happened was because the gods willed it. For instance, the creation of all life was done by the great god and king of the gods, Ra, and the rising of the sun was due to Ra as well. Today, as we look at the sky and earth, we know it as that. But in ancient Egypt, gods took the role of everything. Ged was the god of the earth, and Nut was the goddess of the sky, or at least one of the gods of the sky. The gods were so embedded into their culture that they believed it entirely. Even today, the gods have an impact on our culture, like in video games, movies, or even card games. There are many Egyptian gods with many different stories, like the birth of the Egyptian gods and so forth. Even the great pharaohs of Egypt were considered gods themselves, and all those that served them were, in a way, their children. Because of this belief, pyramids and other monuments were erected in their names. Even the gods were made to seem like they had a human connection, not just by giving human appearances, but also love, hate, and war. Ancient Egyptians believed that the gods walked amongst them and protected them throughout their lives, and wherever it happened was the will of the gods. To this day, many believe that this religion and culture helped shape the world today. As far as we know, Egyptian gods were the first beings to be worshipped and to be established and to be an established religion, which inspired other gods like the Greek gods. Now there are stories that in ancient Greek that all the gods have fled into Egypt and became their gods, while Zeus fought his father Cronus. But how can that be if Egypt inspired those gods? That is why mythology is so fascinating, because you have one culture that is older and inspires another culture to create their own gods and put a spin on its mythology. As far as we will ever know, Egypt was the starting point for all cultures in the world, and even the first to have its own mythology. As far as we will ever know, Egypt was, now now no one worships the old gods anymore, and no one really knows why. But you can't help to feel the attraction to those they worshipped, like Anubis, god of the underworld, who catered to the dead and helped them get to where they needed to go, or the feud between the brothers Seth and Osiris. Some of the gods are overlapped with others, like Seth, Set, or Setesh was the god of chaos and the god of the desert. He overlaps with the god Apophis, who is the snake god and god of chaos. Anubis and Osiris share the same as well, both being gods of the underworld. But there are some differences, like Osiris and Isis were the first king and queen of the ancient Egypt who later became more. Osiris rose from the dead and became ruler of the underworld after his brother Seth killed him and dismembered him, scattering his remains to the seven corners of the earth. Isis was said to be goddess of health, marriage, and wisdom, but like the rest of the gods that changed, she in other times of ancient Egypt was the goddess of love and also helped fairy souls, and was known as the goddess of the underworld. Many of these gods tricked one another, as in later times in Jerusalem. When soldiers fought in the name of their gods, ancient Egyptians did the same. But at the end of the day, a lot of these gods were said to have much love for humanity. Even though these gods were revered, they were also feared. Like, if a sandstorm swallowed up a city, Set would be the culprit, and the Egyptians would do what they could to appease him and ease his rage. A lot of the mythology is like that, and for good reason too. To them, these were mighty beings that, with a wave of their hand, could wipe out cities. There are even movies that depict this happening, like in The Mummy, when the Scorpion King made a deal with the god Anubis. He gave him an army that completely wiped out an entire city. That was the most terrifying thing in Egypt, was the wrath of the gods, their deals, and their curses. Even today, these curses exist and are said to be caused by ancient magic or the gods themselves. The way that these gods were depicted, you can see why they were and still are feared today. There is a lot to go on. I mean, there's like King Tut's tomb. I mean, people, like I said, people to this day still revere and still fear the ancient gods. Even in Greek, they still fear the gods' wrath and all that. You can really tell that this culture and mythology was really embedded into everything. I mean, you can't go anywhere without it tracing back to ancient Egypt or its gods or mythology. I mean, you got jewelry, you got so many things that are based off the ancient Egyptian mythology. So, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.